Stovepipe. Stovepipe in that last one. I don't know if that's because of the ammunition or what. It's supposed to be really good stuff. Another one. Oh. Alright, so looking at that video, you can see I had a couple of problems today. Now we'll go over some of those problems, but first I want to say I see a lot of people that watch my videos, and a lot of those people aren't subscribed, so please subscribe, hit the bell, get notifications whenever YouTube wants to send those things out, and become part of the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. So today I took my Canik TP9SF out today for another run at seeing how the gun will function. Today I had a couple of problems. With those problems, we're going to go over them, as today I think it was an ammo situation, an ammo problem. Shooting prior to filming that small clips of video that you just watched, I had no malfunctions with this firearm. Even having my gloves on, still didn't have any malfunctions with that firearm. And I shot both magazines full of ammunition through the gun with no malfunctions. So I thought, okay, we've cleared it up. It just had to get shot a little bit more, break the gun in, and it's ready to go. Well, a lot of people were telling me that I was hitting the slide stop, slide release with my thumbs forward grip. Today, I made a conscious effort to even kind of bend my thumb a little bit to put it on the memory pad, even with the gloves on, to not hit that slide stop, slide release. And I still had two stovepiping issues. So I figured, you know what, I'm just going to put the gun down for now, and I'm going to shoot my Bersa BP9cc. I've never had any kind of problems with this firearm ever since I picked it up. I'm a little leery of Bersa products, but in the end I figured this is going to be a good gun to carry in the summer. It's concealable, it is a single stack, but it's in 9mm. So I figured I'm going to shoot this gun. Well, I loaded the first magazine up, and I shot a magazine, 6 rounds, through the firearm with no problem. Loaded it up again, and on the second magazine, the first shot I had sounded like when you take a glass filled with anything, and you take an ice cube and you drop it in there, and it makes a plopping sound. If you're new to firearms, you should always understand, when you hear an odd sound that a round makes when it goes off, should be cautious of that. With hearing that sound, even Cindy noticed that it didn't sound right. Sound like it's almost hard to describe, but that's how I would say it, is when you take an ice cube and you drop it into a cup of liquid and it makes a plop sound. So I ejected the magazine, opened action, and looked down just to make sure there's not a squib load. For people that don't understand, squib load is when a bullet gets lodged in the barrel. You never want to try and shoot a squib load out, because it could be catastrophic. You could lose hands, fingers, or destroy the gun and hurt people around you. It's a very dangerous situation. So whenever you hear a round go off and it just doesn't sound right, you should stop shooting and check the firearm and make sure it'll function, and it's not that type of thing that's happening, which is a squib load, because it could be very dangerous and very detrimental to you and others around you. So after checking the firearm and even looking down the bore of the gun, I noticed that there was no bullet in there, so it was probably an underpowered round, which is very odd, because at this point I'm shooting Fiocchi 115 grain, and that stuff is kind of loaded a little hot, even by standards. well documented through gun culture and YouTube channels, and even people are sponsored by Fiocchi. And as I loaded up the next magazine, put it into the firearm, loaded around, I heard a click and no bang. So I held the gun downrange a little bit, just to make sure in case the gun goes off that, it's not laying down or something like that. So I held it downrange and waited 3 to 5 seconds and nothing happened. So I ejected that round and looked, and it had a pretty good primer strike on it. So then I just stuck 2 rounds in the magazine, loaded the firearm, and it shot fine those 2 rounds. So I'm thinking to myself, I don't know what this is. So I put that round that didn't work back in there, loaded it into the firearm, and click, no bang. So I waited, held the gun down range just to make sure, then ejected the round and then looked at it, and I had 2 pretty solid primer strikes on that round. So I took it over to this little bucket that they had. I think it's filled with water. So I threw the round in there and discarded the round. So then I again filled up the magazine and shot it without any malfunctions. So I'm thinking to myself, this might have been an ammunition problem today. Yes, it was cold, but that shouldn't really affect your firearm. The weather shouldn't really affect it, especially if it's a really good firearm. So now looking back, I think the problems I might be having with the Canik today were ammunition related problems. So looking back at it now, I'm still not going to throw the gun under the bus. I know there's a lot of people out there that have commented on that video, but again, even putting the camera stuff aside and making content, I even used a teacup grip with this firearm and still collected another stovepipe. So I'm not sure if it was the gun or the ammunition. I'm going to lean more towards an ammunition problem today. And I'm going to show you the target that I shot here today. This is from, I don't know if you can see it in there, Guns N' Roses. I got this when I was down in Tulsa. Not Guns N' Roses, Guns N' Roses. And I bought a bunch of these targets, and they're supposed to kind of identify what your problems you're having. A lot of this stuff down around in this region has to do with your finger, your position on the trigger, whether you're slapping the trigger, jerking it, things of that nature. And then I started to shoot a little bit better of grouping on there. But I think a lot of that was because being 18 degrees out when the wind's blowing and it feels like 5 degrees out, my hands were getting really chilled to the point where even getting in the car and warming up, the hands were really hurting to grip the steering wheel to even drive. So I think that's a lot of the problems that I was having. Even here you can see I'm still off to the right. And then finally, when I was just like, I really got to concentrate, I shot a lot better. Still had a flyer here or there, but not as much as I had on the other targets. So I really concentrated and shot pretty good on the last bit of target that I had left and ammunition. So I think a lot of it has to do with the ammunition I shot today. I don't think it was up to spec, and I got quite a bit of it today that I shot, which kind of throws this into the mix. Yeah, I got out and shot today, but I always say shooting is a perishable skill, and I totally felt it today that I am really rusty, that I really need to go out and shoot. And I know ammunition is hard. It's hard to find. It's hard to buy it at the prices that we see it today. But I'm willing to expend a couple of extra petrodollars to protect myself and make myself a better shooter and protect my family than to let my skills decline of what I saw today. I know I'm a lot better shooter than what I shot today, regardless of the elements, whether it be weather, but I know I can shoot a lot better than that. So it just makes me want to even further my goal of becoming a better shooter by going out there and actually shooting ammunition. Dry firing and shooting those little target things are cool and all, but nothing really takes away like shooting targets and putting lead down range, feeling that recoil, smelling that gunpowder. I mean, that's the rush for me in shooting firearms, is the recoil, smelling the powder burning, and really getting into it. Dry firing and all that stuff is fine and dandy. I'm kind of wavering on it now that I see, with not me shooting for the last couple of months and seeing how my skills really diminished up to this point, that I'm going to put aside a block of time to really go out and shoot. And I know I'm going to be spending a little bit more when ammunition hits the shelves here and there, but I would rather, again, pay that extra dollar bill than have my skills diminish of what I saw today with my own wavery eyes. So I want to put that and encourage you to go out and shoot. I understand ammunition's hard to get, but when you start seeing your skills kind of diminish a little bit, it kind of puts a pause in my mind. I had a close scrape the other day at work with somebody that was really out of line, and even to the point of wanting to do physical harm to me. But now that I look at that day, I'm glad it went the way it went and we parted ways and nothing happened, because I don't know how I would have reacted if I had to use my firearm, looking at how I shot now. So I'm definitely more than ever going to have to further my skills and become a better prolific shooter. And if it has to come at a little bit of a price, I'd rather do that than a price of my own life or my own, one of my own in my family, if I have to ever use a firearm. So I'm really going to stretch that in there and become a better shooter by putting aside ammunition, money, and time, and going to places that might be a little bit more controlled, or if it is the outdoor range like I went today, to really concentrate and focus on putting the rounds down range and putting them where I need them to be. Another aspect that I want to throw in here is the ammunition that I shot today is stuff that I had gotten post-cough. I'm going to have to go into my shit hits the fan little box of goodies, and I'm going to pull out a couple of boxes of that and shoot what I saw pre and post, and see if that might be there might be some difference in shifting and manufacturing of ammunition. Maybe quality control has been slipping here, or maybe it was just luck of the draw that I've got a couple of boxes that had some bad rounds in it. I mean, I'll have to really see what it is. I know companies take pride in quality control that make ammunition, and they really strive for that. But maybe they might be kicking it out so fast that quality control could be slipping. Fiocchi, again, is really name brand stuff that is out there that a lot of people use in gun culture. A lot of gun tubers use it. A lot of gun tubers are sponsored by it. So it makes me think maybe they're rolling it, but they're rolling it so fast that quality control might be slipping a little bit. So I'm really going to keep my eye on that. So I'm going to go into some of the stuff that I've been saving up, grab a box or two of it and compare it, because I still have a little bit of this ammunition, and see if I can't find a discrepancy in one or the other, and really determine what kind of cycle we're going through here, with companies like kind of panicking a little bit to put as much ammunition on the shelf as they can. We've all seen the videos that they've put out. So there's a lot of factors that went into my mind today, but the number one is go out there and shoot. Go out there. I think you're doing a disservice to yourself if you're not shooting. I mean, again, it's good to go and do your dry fire and shoot your cool little targets, but there's nothing like doing the real thing and really preparing yourself for a situation that might happen, that might come about in the future, and being able to handle that situation. So there's a lot of stuff that I took personally away from this, even to the point where I put the camera down. There's a lot of people that like to go make content and shoot guns to shoot guns. I make content for awareness, to document what I'm doing in life in certain situations, so I don't repeat something that I did earlier It's kind of like documenting my life, and then hoping that it will teach others what to do or what not to do. Basically, what not to do in a lot of situations. But still, I'm not doing it to draw in money. I'm not doing it to draw in sponsors. I'm doing it to help better myself and the people out there across wherever you are watching my videos. So I got a lot of stuff that I got to compress and calculate and put in perspective here for the time going on. And if I have to spend that extra $4 to $5 for a box of ammunition, I'm going to do it because I know and I see it just by today that I'm going to need a lot of work to put my skills where they were pre cough cough to now post cough cough, and really put myself in a position to be good at shooting this firearm, whichever one it is that I carry, and putting rounds where they need to be. So I learned a lot today. I hope you've learned a lot today. I hope you're more vigilant by watching this video. With all that being said, I'd like to thank my old and my new subscribers, and just the people that zip through. I greatly appreciate it. I notice there's a lot of people that watch my content that aren't subscribed. So please take that step, subscribe, hit that bell for more notifications. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share your favorite content that you like to watch all over the interwebs. And like always, guys, we'll catch you on the next one.